Hello and welcome to Nick's Allotment Diary.
The heat treated onions are doing well. I've got both red and white onions. They're starting to green up now. Plenty of leaves, so I'm really pleased with those. The garlic isn't looking too good. It's gone quite yellow, quite a bit of streaking on the leaves. It might be rust. So what I'm planning to do is to harvest that garlic now. I don't think it's going to grow much better. In fact, some of them are producing the little scapes, the flower heads on the top. So I think they're nearly ready now. So I'll harvest a few and I'll let you see what they look like. Now the majority of the garlic looks okay. Reasonable sized bulbs. I'll let those dry out. But I have found a few of them have got something called white rot. I'll show you an example. I don't know how well this is focusing. So there's some white patches near the roots. Now those are not going to store, so I'll have to discard those. Now onion white rot is one of those things that you can get, and you tend to have to avoid then planting onions in the same place. So I'm a little bit concerned because the rest of my normal onions are planted in the same bed, so hopefully they won't succumb to white rot, but I'll only be able to tell that later on in the season. Where the garlic has been planted is now clear, so what I've decided to do is use this area next to the onions to plant my sweet corn, which is well and truly ready to go out. The variety I've got is a variety called Goldcrest. As you can see, the plants are pretty tall now and they're starting to brown at the end of the leaves, so they need to go out. To look at the root system, the roots are emerging from the bottom of the seed tray. So I'm going to plant them out in this bed approximately a foot to 18 inches apart. So what I'm going to do is to make a hole using this pool planter for each of the plants. I'll just move the tray out of the way. So if I just push down, take out a core of soil. So here is one of the plants. As I mentioned, a decent root system. Just slightly break the roots so they're spread out a bit. I'm also going to use some of the mycorrhizal fungi just to dust a little bit onto the roots. Don't need much, and plant it into the hole. Cover it up. I shall do 2 rows, which I reckon I can get 2 rows in this bed. I've just laid the plants out, 1 plant per hole, and I'm now just going to dust them with mycorrhizal fungi and plant them. Now's the time to give them a good watering in. So there we go, we now have 12 leek plants all watered in. I will need to keep them well watered over the next week or so if we don't have any rain, just so that the roots settle in properly. This bed is now clear of brassicas. This was the one that had the kale and the kalettes that had all gone to seed. I've now dug over this bed, so I'm going to use it to plant some onions, the Bedfordshire Champion onions that I've grown from seed, and also the shallots. These were the shop bought shallots that I planted out in the greenhouse, and they are well and truly ready to go in the ground. Now, as you can see, if you look at the roots, they are ready to go in. They've been in these seed trays for a few months and they're well and truly pot bound. So I'm going to plant them today. So there we go, a row and a half of shallots. I didn't have enough for 2 full rows, so what I'm going to do for the rest of this row, I've got some large red onions, plants that I grew from seed. These are supposed to be giant red onions, so I'm going to try them at the end of this row. I'm going to give them plenty of space and see how they get on. So here are the giant red onions. I've been growing them on in these cups, so I'm going to plant these now. So there we go, a row of shallots and then a mixed row of shallots and giant red onions. The next thing I'm going to do is to plant the Bedfordshire Champion onions. These are the normal white stringed onions. I've grown these from seed. I started these off very early in the year, just after Christmas, if memory serves me right. They were potted into this 24 cell tray. 23 of them have survived, so I'm going to plant them in probably 3 or 4 short rows in front of the plum tree. I'm going to use this cane as a guide so that I can plant them in more or less a straight line. So there we go, 3 more rows of onions planted, the Bedfordshire Champion onions that I set from seed at the end of December. I just need to water them in now and hopefully they should grow on.
Thanks very much for joining me at Nick's Allotment. I'll see you again next time.